Hello. Happy Astrological New Year. This is our first uh, beginning of the astrological New Year with the sign of Aries, which ties in with the season of spring. Both the moving of the sign from Pisces into Aries and the beginning of the spring season and the Ostara, which is Sabbat, takes place on March 20th. So happy birthday to all the Aries, Aries Sun, Aries Moon, and also Aries Rising. And this is something that I do every month where I introduce a bit of a tarot astrology breakdown of the sign, the planet that influences the house that it holds residency in, and also major arcana archetypes that influence or that personify the characteristics of Aries. So I'm going to just go right into it. True Aryan form, let's get right to it. Aries is ruled by the element of fire. So fire with Aries is movement. Aries is a cardinal sign. So cardinal signs introduce each new season. So Aries for spring, Cancer for summer, Libra for fall, and then Capricorn for earth. So they cover all the four elements, but they are cardinal signs, just as there are four signs that rule the fixed. The fixed signs are the transitional signs that rule from the time that we are in the middle of that particular season. And then the mutable sign is the sign that is wrapping up the end of that season. So with Aries, I'll focus on Aries. Fire signs, so we're looking at movement. But it's more physical movement. It's more of the movement where we're starting to shape things. We're starting to express everything that's been going on inside, and we're doing it more outwardly. So all the fire signs, their energy is of more in the physical realm. We see it by their body movements, the environment that they're in, the energy of the environment that they're in. So Aries is a lot of movement. So you probably notice some people who are also Leo, Sagittarius, that those signs are also ruled by fire. The way that they approach their situations, their conflicts, their positivity is all with movement, and how they go in and they work through a situation. They're very direct. They're very singular in the sense that they have a very strong will, a very strong sense of themselves. They're very individual. And so some of the fire signs do come across like they are self-centered, but because that energy, that movement, there's so much going on, they need to focus on themselves and what they need to do to draw what they want to have and to express it outwards with that experience that they have. So Aries is also ruled by the planet Mars. Okay, so a lot of people know Mars. It is a fire sign. It is an aggressive sign. It doesn't necessarily mean it's anger. That's part of it, but that's when that fiery energy gets a bit too much. Aries signs, fire signs in general, there is a momentum. But if there's something coming into that momentum that may throw their direction off, it could actually aggravate them because they are so focused and so dedicated and so passionate with what they want to do. Anything from outside that comes in can sort of stir that hot water even more so. So with that Mars influence, it's energy that's moving forward. It's protecting the self, how they see things, how they feel things, and of course, how they react to things. So everything, again, is very singular with Aries. Aries is a very independent sign. Even though they work well with people, they tend to need to be in that role of being in charge. So if you give Aries a responsibility, they will take it, but they will take in the sense that that they want that role that they have to benefit everyone. So they are taking that responsibility. Think of Aries as let's say the breadwinner of the family, whether it's the mother, the father, the person who is in charge of the responsibility that has been given to them. They will do what they have to do to serve that situation, to serve their family, to serve this particular role in business, to serve that relationship that they're in. They will do what they can, and what they feel is best fit to make everything run the way it does. Now, the thing with Aries is that they're wonderful starters, but tend not to finish things. So that's where some of the other signs come into play. That's where we get the influence of the earth signs to kind of put all that movement energy of the fire signs, specifically Aries, kind of put everything into a direction, more into a structure. So I did mention Aries is forward thinking, but that energy again can just sort of be spread out. So it's good to have a balance coming in to kind of like, whoa, you have too much of that fire, let earth come in. And also the element of water. The water signs can help Aries emotionally, maybe to get all this energy that's just going all over the place, to get them a little bit more centered inside, emotionally, not to boil over. And then, of course, the air signs. The opposing sign for Aries is Libra. Libra is an air sign. Libra deals with harmony and balance. Libra can come in and create, this. We have the direction, but we also have the seeing of both sides. So Aries can sometimes just be right there moving forward. Similar to Sagittarius, they have a sense of what they want to do and what they want to attain, but they need to slow down. We need to maintain that energy so that they don't miss anything that could actually help them instead of just going straight forward. So with spring and that Aries energy and that Mars energy of being, doing things for themselves, doing it their way, we also need to be a little bit more mindful of the people that are around and people that you are influencing. Aries is highly influential because they have that. They have that. They're very goal oriented in the sense of when they have something that they strongly believe in, they want to go after it, and they will do what it takes to get there. So, like I was saying earlier, relates to business, relationships, but also we have to be careful of Aries because that energy can get overexpended. Aries rules this part. So when we go through the astrological wheel, we'll see a breakdown. I'll try and remember mentioning this with each of the tarot astrology profiles that I do. Aries rules here, rules the head, the mind. And then our next sign for next month will be Taurus. So they rule the neck area, how they voice themselves when it comes to getting things that are of a great endeavor for them. But Aries, we have to be careful. Aries is fire, so it's very different from this from Gemini, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So everything's dealing with communication. Gemini has a way of communicating so that they can get what they need. But with Aries, because they rule the head, a lot of this energy, a lot of this fiery energy can cause an overabundance of heat in the body, specifically here in the mind. So Aries can be prone to headaches. because they move so fast. They could be prone to, not looking in their direction, maybe bumping into things. It's just a little bit of a humorous thing, but some Aries, if they don't watch where they're going, they can they could do self-injury, but very minor. But please slow down the energy, Aries. If there's a lot of fire in your sign, or in your chart, which I have quite a bit. So another thing that Aries is known for structurally is because of their movement, they are known to have very strong bodies. They can work out in such a way that physically they tend to hold their body shape very well. So they can lose weight more easily than some of the other signs because of all that energy that they're burning through. They also rule the adrenals, and the adrenals are what gives us is the gland that holds our energy and how we use it. Many years ago, I depleted my adrenals. So I was always tired because I was always doing all this stuff. And when some tests were done, it showed that I had low levels of adrenals. I had to take supplements for it and manage it, and now everything's fine. So we have to watch out for that overabundance of pushing ourselves. Because again, we can be driven, Aries can be driven in such a way that they get so caught up in the moment. So it's always good to have the balance of these other elements. Water, fire, and air, just to kind of put everything into perspective. All these three elements, as I go through all the astrological signs, create the balance. So like with Earth, their complementary element is water. Water nurtures Earth. So with Aries being fueled with its opposing sign of Libra, the air sign, but it's creating more balance, it's harmony, it's putting it's rationalizing a situation, which is always good with Aries, because sometimes with everything that's going on, they need an outside source. They need an outside archetype, if you will, to help put this fire into more of a, not containment, but more in a orderly fashion. So that works very well for Aries, that opposing sign of Libra, or any other of the air signs. The house that Aries rules is, I should be showing you these cards because I'm talking more than anything else. It rules the first house. Okay, there's 12 houses, just as we have 12 signs. So here, the first house, as we begin the astrological year and its association, Aries resides in the first house. So it deals with that individual self, how we look externally. So the first house is how people perceives that particular sign in that first house. So Aries being all of confidence and of energy driven, that's what rules that first house. So it's also the perspective, how we take things in life, how we see things. Okay, so remember, Aries is very movement driven, very creative as well, in the way that they use their movement and their energy towards things. It could be very, very clever in the way that they do things. So with it ruling the first house, okay, I'm going to show you these two cards here. Okay. So we see everything here, especially with these two cards, the flaming heart. The energy, everything that's burning inside is being externalized. So when there's another sign that's in the first house, let's talk about Taurus. Okay, so Taurus is ruled by Venus. So what you would probably see with someone who may have Taurus in the first house, Think about all these characteristics of all the other signs, how they break down. So if all these other signs fall into the first house, whether it's Taurus, Cancer, Scorpio, think about their qualities, because that's how people see these particular signs from the outside. So let's say you're talking to someone and you're getting this energy of your following astrology and the signs, and you're like, you know what, this person feels like a Cancer because they have a lot of they're very emotional, not like overwhelmingly emotional. Hello. But they speak from the heart, and they're very sensitive. You could probably sense that that person is one of the water signs. Could be Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, depending on how they express themselves. So if you see that and some other influences in that particular house, planetary wise, like maybe Neptune in one of the water signs in the first house, that's how they come across. That would represent the expression of some of the water signs. Cancer being paternal, nurturing, Scorpio being very impassioned about things, but more in the emotional sense. And then we also have Pisces, where they tend to be more quiet and more sensitive, but at a deeper level. So when you get familiar with all these signs and how they're placed in all these houses, it makes for a very interesting character study of these signs when they're held in each of these houses. Now, there can be multiple signs and planets in each of these houses. That's something that you need to have your chart done, and you could see what sign and planet is in these particular houses. Sometimes people have multiple planets and signs in all these houses, in individual houses, and sometimes these houses are empty. And so it gives more of insight as to how these signs relate to each other in the houses and with their planetary influence. So the next sign, or the next series that I have here, is the tarot aspect of Aries. Okay, so we have, again, Mars. Mars is the planetary influence. So in the tarot, in relation to Aries, the planetary influence card-wise for Mars is the Tower. Okay, so Tower in the tarot archetype, the major arcana, is ruled by Mars. Okay, so Mars is also, I was going to say, Mars with the Tower card, Mars is also associated with Scorpio. So you can place this card, the Tower, with that Marsian influence in relation to Scorpio. If you backtrack to my tarot astrology series, I do make mention about the Tower card and its relationship to Scorpio. But here we're focusing on the energy of Aries. Okay, so here with the Tower, one of the key words that we see associated with the Tower card is a sudden change. This energy, this Marsian energy that has come in, has just shaken the foundation. I've always related the Tower to being ourselves. And as I mentioned, Aries rules the head. The head is the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And here in the Tower, we have the crown. We have the first part that's being struck down by lightning. There's an overabundance of energy that has affected this part of the Tower. Okay, so remember, we're the Tower from the head all the way down to the base. But in the major arcana, we tend to see the striking to be at the top part. Sometimes we could see the whole Tower being split apart. But here, we can see this as a way of breaking down old habits, but I can also see the tower as a means of, as that energy is being released, it's also creating like a moment, like an epiphany. It's like, wow, I just had this, this literally thunderbolt of energy that just, hit me, and things start shifting. So the Tower card doesn't necessarily, just like the Death card, doesn't necessarily mean it's negative. When you see a breakdown, like the Devil card's definitely a sign, but the Tower and the Death card, it's just signs of change. But in this case, the Tower card shows that this energy is very quick, and it's change that is needed. It's also change that maybe the individual has placed um, um, subconsciously, to the point to where it's like it's this buildup of energy, and then all of a sudden things start happening. You start getting these moments of awakening. You start getting these moments of clarity. It's like, this is done. Past actions, habits, the way of doing things, it's time to let it go. When you see this here, everything is being thrown down. So this card is a wonderful card in that sense, because it's telling you it is the sign of things to stop and to move forward. Okay, so this is a card of action. Okay, it's the sign of things starting to crumble. So keep that in mind when the Tower card does show up in a reading. The other card that is associated with Aries. Now, let me back up here a little bit. Okay, Tower. This is a planetary card of influence, okay, for Mars. So the Tower card is Mars, and it takes hold of the signs of Aries and Scorpio, okay? Because we're shaking things up and we're breaking things down so we can see what's there, and to change the way that our actions, the way that we see things. Now, the other card, the major arcana, okay, we have Aries, right? We have the Emperor. So remember what I was saying earlier about the leader, okay, person who takes charge. The Emperor tends to be associated with masculine energy, and that can come from men, women, however you identify yourself. You can have that strong energy. You can have that energy of confidence that you will get things started, and then you will bring in the sources, your support system, to keep your ideas, to keep the direction of what you need to do to complete, with the right kind of people. So remember what I was saying is that Aries tends to not finish what they start, but if you bring in a good backup support of people. Oops. Let me fix this. Okay, if you bring in a good support system that believes in you, knowing that you can get this done, and they put that trust in you, those are the people you need to surround yourself with. To support others, you need those people to support you, and that's where that energy comes from. So there's a lot of trust that comes in with this card of the Emperor, and also with Aries. Okay. So depending on all the other planetary placements that are in your chart for Aries, you can have the makings of a very good leader. Okay. But the challenge of Aries is how to balance anything that comes to them. Aries likes a good challenge. Okay. That fuels them, that motivates them. It gets them to strategize. I just cannot speak today. Where they want to put their energy. They want to see who is coming up against them. And so it motivates them. and allows Aries to be creative in the way that they're going to do their strategy when a challenge comes in. So they'll look at things, and again, remember, Aries will go to their council of support, and ask, well, this is what's going on here. This is what I feel is the best way to approach this. What are your thoughts? And then with that information that they get from the support group, they know where to go. So Aries can be very, very good in business because they're looking at what's out there. The challenge again that comes with Aries is just not getting lost in everything, not burning yourself out. Okay, you want to create a balance. All of these signs, even though I'm doing the characteristics and I'm pointing out the Tower card and the Emperor card, these are key archetypes and the first house of how we portray ourselves out to others. All of these forces are how make up this sign, but how we can create balance. And that's right all across the board. So Aries being strong-willed, very direct, very dedicated energy-wise. Once they get something started, they'll keep it going, but with the right support. But they need people to have that belief in them. Because if you don't believe in an Aries, they're going to look for people that will trust and what they have to say and what they have to do to get to where they need to be in completion to make things work in a certain way. But if you take that away from Aries, that belief just sort of dissipates, and that can also show a lack of confidence with Aries. Very similar to Leo. Leo is a different force, and we'll talk about that when we get there in the summer months. So before I continue onward, just to recap, Aries rules the head, fire sign, cardinal sign. They introduce the first season in the astrological wheel, which is spring. Spring starts March 20th and goes into April 18th this year. Aries rules the first house. Okay. So it's how people see us from the outside, our actions, our mannerisms, how we express ourselves. That rules the first house. But other signs come into that first house as well, and that's how those signs express themselves. Okay. Mars, aggression, challenge, movement, creativity, force, direction. Those are some of the key words that can describe Arian energy. Do not cross Arian energy when it's on a roll. Okay. They like a good challenge, but if it's a challenge that doesn't really inspire them, they're just going to go right over you. Okay, so just be prepared. Aries is a tough sign for a lot of people because of that energy. The other influences, again, is the Emperor. Emperor for leadership, trust, knowing that they will do what's needed to get done, make the right choices. And then the Tower card is that energy. Okay, sometimes for the Emperor to kind of get better perspective of a situation, they sometimes may have to cause a little bit of a shakeup. Break down some old things, so that they have the path to move forward. So there you have it, very brief for Aries. For spring of this year, the first astrological sign, and welcoming in our first season for spring for Astara, House 1, cards that it rules, Emperor, related to the sign of Aries. Tower related to that energy of Mars. Conflict, challenges, how Aries is influenced with that Marsian energy through the Tower. Okay, so next up, I'm going to start doing the readings for the month of Aries. I'm going to start with the fire signs, which will be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, and then I'm going to do Taurus. For the earth signs, I'm going to do Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and then I'm going to go in the rest of the order. I'm going to do water signs and then end it with the air signs. Okay, so stay tuned to that. For that, that'll be happening in the next few days. I'm doing this late at night, so my apologies for the tongue skipping and stopping to get my thoughts together. So here we go. Happy birthday, Aries, moon and rising. Have a wonderful season and stay tuned for those readings for all the elemental signs of the astrological wheel. My name's Amy, the Mystic Rose Tarot. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to leave them in the comments. I have a website. I do readings. You can book readings there. I'm on Instagram. Feel free to leave donations if you feel that any of the content that I've been sharing has been of knowledge or of information. Please let me know. All right. So I will catch you soon. Next up, fire signs, your readings for the month of Aries. Have a wonderful day, everyone.